What's going on, y'all? We got the Let's Be Real podcast, man. We are back, episode 18. Hope y'all had a great Thanksgiving, man. Got to spend time with your loved ones, eat a bunch, watch some great sports. Obviously, as y'all can see, man, it's just me this time. Joey back home. So he got home safe. And we're going to get some more guests on here as always, man. But got a good episode for y'all, man, this week. And so obviously we're going to do what we do, man. We're going to start with some recap of the NFL. We're going to look ahead to our Thursday night game. We're going to go over some of the headlines and hot topics that's out in sports right now. But look, y'all know how we do it. Starting the episode with the wine, man. You know how we go. So this one actually, look, one of my favorite wines of all time, Bacci here by Sattui. Now, this wine you can actually only get from them directly. They don't outsource. They don't sell it to nobody. They ain't in no restaurants. But always one of the staples of like when I go to Napa, I stop at Visa Tui. To blend is absolutely incredible. I've ordered it there and I've ordered it to be delivered to me probably 3, 4 times now. And I can't say enough good things about it. Like I said, it's one of my favorite wines. It's definitely more bold, little bit dry, but not too dry. So kind of more on the balance side of that. And very fruit forward, very red fruits forward. And you get a little bit of oak with it. But great for just, I mean, I'll sip on this just watching the games. So great as a sipping wine. If you're having any kind of steak, lamb, anything like that, Indian food, man, great. It pairs great with that. But yeah, man, if y'all can, I would say check out Bacci, check out Visa Tui. They got a bunch of great wines. Like I said, I've ordered not only this wine, but a few wines from them regularly. And again, I said, man, it's always a staple. When I'm in Napa, Visa Tui is going to be one of the places I go to, hands down, always. But yeah, man, so we're going to get into it, y'all. We got the NFL, had a lot of great games this last week. And we just gonna start it off, man. Look, we gonna get into it. Lions and Bears, man. We got division game, and look, this is a game we talked about it when Joey was here in the last episode. But my biggest thing was I just wanted to see that continued growth from Caleb. I think we saw that he played really well, and we're gonna get to the end of game stuff and the Eberflus firing, man. But yeah, man. So I think I'm again. I like what I'm seeing from Caleb each week. More growth. Love that. Obviously, you still have some of the rookie hurdles with end of game scenario, things like that. And speaking of it, let's get into it. So, obviously, for all y'all who watched the game, you know what happened there. Obviously, Chance, you're in kind of that fringe field goal range, take a sack, 33 seconds, and you only get one playoff. And look, I'm not going to say Caleb's blameless. He is not. Like, as a quarterback, you have to be aware of the situation. What I will also say is, as a head coach, you have to also realize you have a timeout. Burning a timeout there does not kill you because you still have enough time to get a playoff, and you get a quick hitter. You can run your field goal unit out there in 20 seconds, 25 seconds, and you're fine. And so, with a rookie quarterback, I'm gonna say this is heavily on the coach, especially when you see that, you know, Caleb gets to play late, starts to check out of it. You have to notice that as a coach. That is one of your jobs as the head coach, is to see something like that and make a decision. And it just goes along with the list of things with Eberflus these last few weeks, man, and which ultimately has led to, him being fired. And so, you know, again, I was a big proponent of, you know, getting Eberflus out, cleaning house, a lot like Washington did when Washington brought in Jaden Daniels and Dan Quinn and OC. Goodness gracious, man, it's been a long week. But yeah, but a lot like Washington did, where they cleaned house, new quarterback, new coaching staff. Like, that's what I was hoping the Bears are going to do. They didn't, and so now at the very least, like I said, we talked about it before. You're going to go into next year with Caleb on his second coach in his second year, and on his second or third OC, depending on what happens. And so, um, I think the firing was more than warranted. Again, these last few weeks, it's just been mistake after mistake by Eberflus. And while I don't think Caleb is totally blameless in that. As a head coach, you have to understand, hey, I got a rookie quarterback. I got to help him. You're asking a rookie quarterback to make, uh, line calls and things like that we would expect from a veteran quarterback. And so sometimes, look, you got to be there to help your quarterback, and Eberflus wasn't. And again, I think that's ultimately that plus a lot of things has led to why he's been fired. And we're going to get into more of that a little bit later. But on the other side, man, Lions, they escape, they get the win. If it was the Chiefs, we'd be talking about how lucky they were and all that. But no, but look, Lions get the win. Um, but look, they come out banged up, man, and it's unfortunate, but it's one of those things in sports where in all sports, it's a war of attrition, and I'd probably say none more than football. And the Lions, man, they're just losing bodies and good players, starting players. Um, and so it's just at the wrong time, Obviously, you'd love to get those. Obviously, you never like injuries. You'd never want them. But if you're going to get them, you always would rather have them early in the season than as you're coming down that last little stretch and into the playoffs. So that's going to be a big thing with them is, they also have, they had one of those short weeks where, play on Sunday, play on Thursday. Yeah, play on Thursday. And so it's, you know, we'll see what happens with them. But their biggest thing now is just they got to keep trying to stay as healthy as they can as they push into the playoffs. We'll see how much these injuries kind of hamper them. But look, still one of the best teams in the league. You're playing a team that obviously in the Bears, it's a division game. So I don't care how bad the teams are, division games. We talked about it, man. They're always tougher, and you usually don't see too many blowout wins in division. And so they got another big one this week, and we'll see what happens with that when we touch on that. But great win for the Lions. Great showing from Caleb outside of the last 33 seconds. And yeah, man, we'll see what happens. But we're going to stay in the NFL, but we're going to flip over to the AFC, and we're going Chiefs Raiders, man. And look, I told y'all how the Lions won. If we said that's how the Chiefs won, it would have been lucky. And look, usually I'm a very big. There's not. It's you create your own luck in sports, right? I don't think their blocked field goal was luck. I don't think a lot of the ways they've won have been lucky. That one was a little lucky. So look, it's not every day you see kind of a blunder like that at that moment. But at the end of the day, look, I'll also attribute it to the Raiders. You're playing the Chiefs. When you're playing the Chiefs, there's always that extra little sense of tension when you're on that other side, that extra little, you know, kind of pushing. And so you get a team like the Raiders with inexperienced quarterback who's been in and out of the lineup. I think their center's a rookie or second year guy, and you're playing the top dogs in the division rival, things like that. Kind of, it's surprising to see, but it's also not surprising to see. And so, look, the Raiders played a great game. I think the Chiefs, man, look, to me, it seems like again they're just out there trying different things. Um, the one I'll go back to is they had that 3rd and 2 where they took a deep shot to Worthy, which part of me is like, you can ice the game, you get the first down. Instead, you go for a deep shot. I trust Andy Reid as a play caller enough to think that that's probably them trying to work on something more so than Andy Reid making a bad play call in a tight, not even, I don't even want to say a tight spot because it's a regular season game against the Raiders, but a more highly leveraged situation in a regular season game. And so to me, I think that was kind of we're playing the Raiders. Our defense hasn't, you know, obviously the Raiders kind of moved the ball on them, but defense have been holding up. I think that was kind of let's see if this is something that will work. Let's see if we can start getting Worthy and Patrick on the same page. And we've seen them trying to do that. I swear they take 1 to 2 deep shots to Worthy every game right now. Because I think they're just trying to get that connection with him and Mahomes. And so I think they're kind of still trying to work through certain things. And I think with Andy, it was one of those times where let's see if this is a situation where maybe we can catch a defense sleeping, which we can then maybe use in the playoffs. And if not, we'll punt it away and trust in our defense because we've got a good defense. But look, I think again, Chiefs, man, they win. Raiders played Raiders play them tough. They always play them tough. I thought this could have gotten ugly. It didn't. Division game again. And so, look, if you're going to lose to the Chiefs or to any big team, the way the Raiders did it, you don't like to lose that way, but the way they played, you got to, give it up to them. And look, we're going to stay AFC. We're going to stay contenders, and we're going to go Steelers, Bengals. Well, at least one contender, right? So, look, man, talk about a shootout. And so I said in the last episode, I think we could see a shootout because I think that Bengals defense is terrible, and I think the Bengals offense is incredible. So I will give it to look. This is the first game where I watched Russ and legitimately thought he played a good game. Like he was hitting intermediate throws, big throws, making the right reads. I'll give it up to Russ. Like y'all know, I haven't been big on him, and I think I always referred back to it these last few episodes is his play-by-play success rate is really low, but he hits a couple deep shots a game to a pick-ins or whatever, and that kind of gets them what they need to get. But this game, man, look, he was hitting everything. Again, we saw Justin Field in the few package. I like that. He was the one that iced the game for him. And so I think they're going to start integrating that more and more. And it's a good switch up because, look, it's not like Justin. Now, he's not the greatest thrower of the ball, but he's not as bad as a Taysom Hill. Like, Justin can play quarterback and can throw the ball, but he gives that added dimension of that running aspect. And so I think that keeps defenses really off balance. And so, look, again, I think Russ played great. I think the Steelers played great. The defense got shredded, but look, Joe Burrow, if the Bengals record was flipped or they had, 5 more wins, we'd be talking about him as a runaway MVP candidate for the numbers he's putting up. They've been torching everybody between him and Jamar Chase. And so, look, Steelers, great defense, but great offense beats great defense. And so, biggest thing I'm looking for out of this is, from the Steelers' point of view, is okay, now that I've seen Russ do this against a bad team and a terrible defense, can he do this in the playoffs against good defenses? And that's where, again, man, I know people going to hate on me for saying, after they hung up 41 or whatever it was, I still don't see the Steelers as a true contender. Because I can't see Russ playing like that in a big game against a good defense. I think that he's going to look more like the Russ we've seen the last few weeks as opposed to the Russ we saw against a terrible defense. And look, from the Bengals' point of view, man, it's just tough. Like, I don't think they're mathematically eliminated yet, but they're pretty much cooked for this year. And look, this was kind of, they're similar to the Niners in the way of, when I looked at the Niners coming into this year, it's Like, this is the year they got to get it done. And same thing with the Bengals. Was the year. You got Higgins playing out his contract, so you're not going to have him next year. And I know Burrow said, hey, as long as I'm starting in the league, like, the window's open. And theoretically, yes, but we've also seen quarterbacks, franchise quarterbacks, go through droughts. And I think that's what we're going to see with the Bengals here, man. They're going to have to sign Jamar to a big deal, which means T is gone, which means some of those other players are going to be gone. And you're going to have to rebuild a defense and kind of retool your offense with less money. And so I think, this was the year the Bengals had to get it done. And there's really no reason they shouldn't have with, how Joe Burrow has been playing, Jamar has been playing, the points have been putting up. So I think, again, I think this was the year they had to make something happen. I think next year I'm not going to be picking them to win a division. I'm not going to be picking them to be a playoff threat just because I think we're probably going to start seeing a couple tough years from them as they try to kind of retool around Joe Burrow's contract, Jamar's contract, and, you're going to have to hit on some draft picks. But look, we're going to move back to the NFC. We're going to go Vikings, Cardinals, two teams, big time playoff implications with this one. And look, we got another Darnold, game winning drive. And so, look, man, Sam Darnold, with him playing the way he's playing, granted, didn't play incredible, but if Kevin O'Connell can scheme it up, and if Darnold can just play great-ish, good-ish, and clean, or give you great play with a mistake, man, they're going to be tough to beat. So whereas I look at the Steelers, I don't think they're true contenders. I think I might have been kind of on the fence with the Vikings. I think this game kind of solidified for me. I think they are in fact true contenders. I think I've seen enough out of Darnold to know that I can somewhat trust him in a playoff game. And then with the weapons he has, coupled with, man, that Vikings defense has been incredible. Absolutely incredible. I think when you look at them, they're top 5 in basically, every important defensive category as far as points given up, yards given up, quarterback hits, quarterback pressures, sacks. Like, they're top 5 in all those things. Brian Flores done a great job over there with them. I would assume he's probably going to be getting looks again for another head coaching position. And I think with that defense, that offense, and with a guy as talented as we've seen Darnold can be. Now, I don't think if you had to, gun to my head, on my bank account on it, I'd probably say they lose earlier than get to the Super Bowl. Just because I think, Darnold is prone to have a game where he has a couple mistakes, and we've never seen him in that high leverage kind of game. But, man, look, they're a team I wouldn't want to play in the playoffs. And I think, the ball bounces right for them. They get the right matchups. We could definitely see them, NFC championship game, and then anything can happen in there. So from the Cardinals, man, look, tough loss. Now, you fall back. Seahawks in control of the division. Lucky for them, that division is still wide open, but they got to handle business. I think they still have a game, maybe with the Seahawks. I'd have to check that. But anyways, they can still do enough to win this division. And so for them, it's, Kyler every once in a while just has these kind of duds and doesn't really make sense. But again, you're going against that Brian Flores defense, probably easier to have a dud against. And so the NFC West, I'm not too thrilled about it, which is obviously why I'm not giving it too much airtime right here, just because I think the Rams could maybe win a playoff game, but that's about it. I think the Cardinals will be, in and out, and I think the Seahawks will be in and out. But at the same time, man, with those weapons, you never know. I can't see either of them doing really anything. The Rams, I could see them maybe doing a little something, and that's just because I give Sean McVay Matt Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nakua, Kyron, like those guys, great young defense. I think they have more of a chance to make some noise in the playoffs. And so if it's my choice, I would love to see the Rams in there. But outside of them, and even with them, I don't know if you're going to get too much noise from that NFC West. And speaking of the NFC West, man, we're going to wrap it up with Bills and Niners. Niners and Bills, however you want to say it with that segue. But look, man, um, not a good showing for the 49ers. We'll start with the Bills, though. Look, Bills came out absolutely dominated. Didn't need too much from Josh Allen. Really, you look at it, it was just like a total team win, man. They just dominated the Niners in just every phase. And you can attribute it to snow. But look, if you're the Niners, again, we've talked about it, like it just that's the weather around this time of year. So I can't give you that as an excuse. Because if you were to go in and play Minnesota or Green Bay, like that's the weather you're gonna have to deal with. And so to me, like I can't give you a pass because of the weather, because again, that you would have to get through that anyways. But look, it looked like they didn't want to play. And the Bills looked like they saw that the Niners didn't want to play right out the gate, and they just took it to them. And so, look, Bills, again, they look dominant. I don't know how much we can really take from them dominating a team that didn't even look like they wanted to play. But they did dominate. They did what they were supposed to do. They went out and handled business. And so, again, Bills, man, I think I had them at 3 in my top 5. But look, they're up there for a reason, and they're going to be a tough out. This is one of the more talented and more well-rounded Bills teams than we've seen over the last few years. And so I think they're really dangerous. And when we get to the playoffs, we'll see what happens. And from again, the Niners meant that was one of those games where it was almost just sad to watch them go out and play that, because again, they didn't look like they wanted to be there. And to me, what it looked like was, if you've ever seen a team, or I'm going to equate it to boxing, I guess. But whenever you see a boxer, UFC, whatever, where they take a couple hits and you can see that they know they can't win. That's kind of like the look that I got from the Niners as a whole. Is it, look, they came out, got punched in the mouth, and it looks like they basically just gave up. And I would almost say it looks like they gave up on the season. They know where they're at. They know, look, we're not going to make the playoffs probably, which means we're not going to make the Super Bowl. And it just looked like a defeated team. And the Bills took absolute advantage of that and treated them like they were a defeated team. And so, look, it brings up a lot of questions. Like we talked about it with the Bengals, we're going to talk about it now. This was the year that they had to make it happen. You know, um, you got Purdy; he's under contract one more year, but McCaffrey went down again. He's on an IR for the rest of the year. And this is one of the ones where it's like, I hate to say I told you so, but again, you could kind of see this coming before the season. I said it. I think one of the first episodes we had. Look, last time McCaffrey had that kind of load on him, pause, um, in a season like he did last year, the next year he came out, got hurt. He only played like 6 games. And so that's what we're seeing. And you have Ayuk out, Kittle's going to be a year older. Trent Williams, man, one of the oldest linemen in the league, he's going to be a year older. Debo has not looked like himself, and he's going to be a year older, and I would say they're probably going to look to offload him. And so when you look at, man, the Niners looking ahead have a lot of decisions to make. Um, I think the one thing I've heard that I would be totally against if I was the Niners is them talking about moving on from Shanahan. To me, that makes no sense at all. I was Shanahan. I think I said it on one of the recent episodes. If you have a coach that if you fire them, they would be hired before they get out of your facility. You're making the wrong move. Kyle Shanahan would be hired before he got out of your facility. Like that just he is one of the top 5 at worst coaches in the league and gets more out of an offense and out of limited quarterbacks than maybe any coach in the league. And so I think that would be probably the biggest mistake that the Niners could make. And we're going to talk about Purdy, in the headlines, but that's going to be a decision they're going to have to make too. And so if I'm looking at it, man, it's with the Niners, it's you gotta start maybe moving off some of these guys. Like I said, move off Debo. I would look at maybe moving off Kittle, and we'll get into the contract stuff a little bit more here in a minute. But with Purdy, I'd let him play out the contract, and so and then if you got to pay him next year, you got to pay him next year. But I think this is this was the year that they had to go all in for it. They tried it, and now it's time to restart everything. And so, we'll kind of see how that looks. Again, I think they look like a team that's done, and so we'll see how they look the rest of the year. But my guess would be they probably ain't got too many more wins left in them. And so, look, we're going to wrap up there with as far as the recap games. And we're going, oh, my bad. No, we not. No, we not. Hold on now, because almost forgot. Eagles, Ravens, man. And so, look, that was probably, I would say that's probably the game that we were all looking forward to the most was that Eagles, Ravens game. And, man, look, Eagles went out and handled business, man. I think the Ravens, again, kind of fell into this kind of we don't really know exactly what we want to be. Lamar played okay, didn't play great. Derrick Henry played all right, got his snaps. But, again, I think look, that Eagles defense, they're showing up, man. They are showing up, and I love to see it as an Eagles fan. I kind of wish the offense, man, we came out and I was texting a few people about it, but we come out and Saquon breaks a 12-yard run, and then the next 7 plays, right? Yeah, 7 plays. No, next 6 plays. I'm sorry. Saquon breaks like a 12-yard run right out the gate, and the next 6 plays are 6 passes, if I remember correctly, maybe 5. And it's hitter, 3 and out, punt. We don't score in the fourth quarter again. And look, y'all know I've kind of cooled on the Ravens. I think that the Eagles, with the continued struggles they have in that first quarters, man, I don't think you can do that against a team like, the Lions or at full strength. We'll see what they look like. But against good playoff teams, I don't think you can come out and do that. And so that's something that, look, that's all scripted. That's all scripted offense. Like those should be the plays where you're going to get, a few first downs, at least come out with some points. Like the fact that all year we've been bad on script worries me because when you get to the playoffs, you can't out-talent everybody, which is kind of what we've been doing all year is terrible on script, but just over the course of a game, we just out-talent every team. And I don't think you can do that and get to a Super Bowl. So that's my one kind of concern with the Eagles and with where we're at is I just need that offense to kind of either feature Saquon more. Like, I don't know why we went away from the run right after he broke a 12-yarder. Like, it looked like he was right out the gate primed to run for another 200 and, you ice him out for 2 straight drives. So, again, I think that needs to get fixed. But look, ton of talent minus Devontae. I thought like that could have been an issue. Obviously, it wasn't. And Saquon, look, he's going to break one. He's going to break one, and then it's just that defense playing like it is. The Eagles are going to be tough. On the other side, man, the Ravens, the Ravens now kind of look like the bullies, right? Like if you a bad team, they're gonna come out and they're gonna look incredible. They're gonna put it on you, and they might put up 30, and Lamar is having a field day out there, and Derrick Henry's running over people. But you play a good team, and they don't really want it. They don't really want the smoke, and so um, I thought Lamar was going to have a big day. I thought this was going to be the real test for that Phillies defense. And shout out to them. They stood up to it. And Lamar did not have a great day. He didn't play bad, but like I said, they just kind of just whatever. Like their entire team was just kind of like dead the whole game. And so um, we'll see what happens with them. But I think I'm more leaning to, and I was already leaning this way because Lamar with the playoff history, but I think they're leaning to more and more of a we might see them for a round and they might be out of there quick, which is going to just kind of recycle this whole thing of can Lamar win playoff games? But that'll wrap up our recap of the NFL this last week. And so now we're going to move into the Thursday night game tomorrow night, Packers Lions, another big division game. And look, another game that's going to have big possible playoff implications. For the Lions, this is a game where, you got to win because Minnesota right on you. And so you can easily, with how their schedule falls, fall out of first place. And now you're in the fifth seed and, you know, don't have home field for the whole playoffs. And it just kind of changes the entire kind of dynamic of what your playoffs are going to look like, from being at home in a dome the whole time to going on the road. Might have to go into a, Minnesota, or might have to go into a uh, Green Bay. And so with that, just important for them and important for the Packers, because look, they're still fighting for their playoff lives. Like they're not a surefire lock yet. And so um, I think as far as importance, I think this game is really important for the Lions, man, because I think with kind of those injuries they're sustaining, one, they got to show that they can overcome these injuries. And two, if I'm going to be, a team that's kind of light because I've got injuries, I want to play at home in the playoffs the whole time. That gives me my best chance of winning. And so I think this game is much, much more important for the Lions, just from a perspective of they have Super Bowl aspirations because of the way they played this year. And I think that you drop this game, you probably fall out of that one seed, and you're looking, like I said, to me, I don't know if the Lions can go on the road the entire playoffs and get to a Super Bowl. And the Packers, man, again, like I said, it's important for them. But biggest thing I'm watching, it's what I watch every week for the Packers, man. Is Jordan Love going to give the game away, or is he going to take the game? And shout out to him. He's played really well these last couple weeks. But that, to me, that says he's kind of ready to give you one and have one of those games where he gives you just a couple just head scratching throws that end up costing him the game. So that's what I'm going to be watching for. I think that'll be but I think it's going to be a great game, man. Again, we're going back to a divisional games, man. Always tough games. And so we'll see how that shakes out. And we'll definitely be recapping that on Saturday, or I guess Friday night when I record the episode. But yeah, man, moving on to the headlines. Look, we're going to stay in the NFL for right now. And we're going to go with the Cowboys, man. So look, Dak comes out and says McCarthy should get his contract done. And so, anybody who's been following the NFL knows just what a complete disaster the Cowboys have been all year, from not signing Dak until opening day to McCarthy being on just a lame duck deal as far as this is his last year. He doesn't have an extension, and you're looking at a team that's not been good. And to me, when I look at this, it's kind of twofold, right? Like, clearly something needs to change in Dallas. You've gotten multiple 12-win seasons that have ended early and in disappointment early in the playoffs. And now you're kind of pigeonholed in because you've paid Dak, so he's going to be there. You can't really do anything front office related because Jerry's the GM, and so he's not going to hire somebody and take a backseat to that. He's going to run the team. And so when you're talking about, moves they can make that maybe put them over the top, I don't think there's one. But McCarthy is kind of the last piece of this kind of possible options that they can do to, try to get something going and get some playoff wins. So to me, I think McCarthy is an average, above average coach. I don't think there's anything special about him. I think he's shown that he's struggled in like crucial moments in the playoffs and has had some bad play calls. And to me, I think I would move on from him because I don't think, again, going back to, how quickly would somebody get hired after you fire him? I don't think there's a bunch of people, teams lining up to sign Mike McCarthy and give him a contract. And so to me, I think he's gone. I think probably it's tough because when you're talking about like a Jerry Jones, I think Belichick would be a perfect fit there because you're talking about a veteran team, get that defense shored back up. But Belichick and Jerry Jones just seem like a nightmare. And I don't think Jerry Jones is going to give Belichick that kind of power in the organization that he would want. And then also, I don't think when you look at it, I think Jerry has made it very clear that he's going to sign coaches that he can kind of take the credit away from, right? Whereas if the Cowboys end up winning a Super Bowl, it's going to be like Jerry did it. Like, that's what he wants. He wants the Jerry did it. Whereas if you bring in Belichick, that's going to be like a look what Belichick did with this organization. And I don't think Jerry wants a coach like that. I think Jerry would rather lose, but have a chance to be the guy than win a Super Bowl and not get the majority of the credit for it. And so while I think they should get rid of McCarthy, I think it's right on brand for the Cowboys to re-sign him. Like, after the season's done, I think it's right on brand for them to give him a 4 or 5 year contract, 3 year at least. And so I'd be surprised if they don't, just because I think the only other real candidate you got out there that might be somewhat interested is Vrabel, but I don't think Vrabel wants to deal with the circus that's the Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones and the radio shows and the tours in the building. So I just can't see that happening. So to me, it seems like it is just prime Dallas Cowboys move to re-sign McCarthy, like Dak is saying. And I think, look, as an Eagles fan, I love it because I think that keeps them right where they're at. At best, a 10 to 12 win team with a first round, maybe second round ceiling. And so, we'll see what happens with that coaching. But if I had to guess, I'd say McCarthy is back next year. And look, we're going to stay with coaching because I don't know how many of y'all saw, but The Athletic, the sports news company, but The Athletic came out and said that the Bears' first call for a head coach should be Bill Belichick. And look, I'm a big Bill Belichick fan. I was saying I wanted the Eagles to go and get him this offseason. I think he's perfect I think he's still got a lot of good coaching left in him, and I think he's perfect for certain teams. The Bears are not one of them. I don't know how much longer he's got, but if let's say Bill's got another 5 years left in him, the last thing I want to do is, even if he's great, you're still talking about Caleb at 27 years old, having another new coach. And so if I'm the Bears, I am not going to get Belichick. I think he's a great coach. Um, no disrespect to him with it. I just don't think he fits the timeline with quarterback and the pieces they have there. Now, would he be great? I'm sure he would. I'm sure that defense would end up turning into a top defense in the league. I'm sure, situationally they'd be on point. I know I wouldn't have to worry about a cornerback talking trash to the crowd while a play is going on. Calling a timeout when it's needed. Like those things, I think he'd be great for. I think they'd have success. But again, if I'm the Bears, you are setting up for Caleb in your future, and Bill Belichick is not future. He is win now. And again, I just don't think that fits the Bears. I don't want Caleb going in 4 years from now, third head coach, fourth, fifth OC. Like it just, to me, that does not make sense. I know the big name is Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson to me, I mean, I think schematically he's great. He reminds me, Kingsbury is the one I was looking for earlier. He reminds me kind of like a Kingsbury, where great OC. I think the first head coaching job he gets might not exactly go great. And Kingsbury is the other one who's getting a lot of kind of attention as far as a possible head coach, which makes sense. He's got the connection with Caleb. Again, that's those second half of seasons where we talked about it with Joey, we've talked about it without him, but those second half seasons, once you get film on him, that offense tends to take a drastic step back, and so yeah, I don't know. I think it's look, maybe the Niners do get rid of Shanahan, and the Bears that would be my first call, but in all seriousness, no, I think if I had to rank them, I would say I'd probably give Ben Johnson a chance. Actually, I'd probably rank Kingsbury ahead of him. Second possible coaching job, I would want him to bring in an OC that, maybe one of those kind of younger, bright mind OCs, if you can find one. But I would say Kingsbury or Ben Johnson's got to be the two you go to. But Belichick, absolutely not. It just, to me, that doesn't make sense. And look, I know I mentioned Shanahan, so now we're going to talk about the Brock Purdy thing. And just big thing with him now is, now that you've got Purdy, 1 year left, everybody's saying pay him. To me, and this ties in great with the Cowboys that we just talked about. To me, Purdy is a 12 at best, probably like 12 to 16 quarterback in the league. And to me, if you're the Niners, man, I play him out, and then I might even trade him next year, because to me, and look, I know people are gonna be like, "How do you trade him?" He got him to a Super Bowl. They almost won the Super Bowl. He's played great. Or was top 5 in MVP voting last year, and his passer rating. But look, when I look at Purdy, if you think Dak's contract was a bad contract, then you don't agree with paying Purdy, because they're right in that same kind of range. I would say Dak's a little higher than Purdy as far as like quarterback rankings. But even if you think they're near the same, we've seen what it looks like with Dak as a $60 million quarterback with the Cowboys. And we're seeing what it looks like with Purdy when he doesn't have the most prolific offensive group of talent that anyone's ever had. And it's just, you're seeing it this year. Now, granted, injuries play a little bit different because you're kind of shuffling people in and out, but that he hasn't looked great this year. He hasn't looked bad. He hasn't looked great. But I think we've seen what Brock Purdy looks like as a $60 million quarterback, because we see what Dak looks like on a team that's paying a $60 million quarterback. And it means you got one weapon on offense. You're piecing together the rest of it. You got one guy on defense who, in Parsons, hasn't been paid yet. And the Niners got a lot to do, man. They got to, like we talked about earlier, you're trying to replace McCaffrey at this point because I don't know if he's possibly done. But another year on a running back's never great. You're trying to replace Debo. You're trying to replace Trent Williams. You're trying to revamp a defense that was at one point great, but is now more middle of the pack than it's ever been, which is getting older and more expensive. So you're probably going to have to offload some of that. And so just with all those different things, you pay Brock 60, which is probably what it's going to be. And at the very worst, 55. I think the Niners look a lot more like the Cowboys do this year before Dak went down than they looked ever in the last 2 years. And look, we're going to wrap up NFL. We're going to go Josh Allen versus Saquon Barkley as far as MVP. And to me right now, man, he's on pace to break the record, so it's got to go to Saquon Edge. Josh Allen, I know everybody – and look, I picked Josh Allen to be the MVP preseason. I know everybody's hyped on it. But when you look at it, I would ask anybody, look at all the kind of top quarterback stats, completion percentage, QBR, yards per game, all this, right? You look at all that and you had to guess, so just the major categories, how many Josh Allen is top 5 in? 1, 2, none. He's not top 5 in any major category. And to me, it's just, you look at Saquon, who's on pace to break the record that Eric Dickerson's had for how many years. He's the best running back in the league, and just what he's done for that Philly offense, who outside of him, most of the time, looks kind of just average at best. And so I think that, coupled with the fact that Josh Allen, nothing is really jumping out of the screen at you with Josh Allen outside of his team's record and a great run that he had against the Chiefs, which, look, what I will say is there's power in moments in the NFL. And I think that one run he had against the Chiefs is kind of what everyone's holding on to as far as like, oh my God, that's why he needs to be the MVP. And so to me, the MVP at this point is Saquon. I think even if he doesn't break the record, if he gets over 2,000 yards, I said last time I gave him a little extra credit because of the touchdowns he doesn't have that Jalen Hurts is pushing in. He has like 8 touchdowns, or 8 times he's gotten the ball within the 1 yard line and hasn't gotten the touchdown because they do the tush push. So I give him a little extra credit for that. Look, and again, like I said, like when he's not the main part of that offense doesn't look great. So for those reasons, I think you got to lean Saquon. But yeah, and look, that's done. That's it with the NFL. And now we're gonna get to the, y'all know what I like. Hold on now, because we get into the NFL, or we get into the NBA. And what better way to start with the NBA than talking about the greatest to ever do it? So look, LeBron James, man. For all y'all who haven't been watching the NBA, LeBron James went from being on an absolute tear to being in one of the worst slumps. And I mean, like, barely getting his double-digit point things, record, like, keeping on. He's missed something like 19 straight threes. Like, it's been a rough week and a half. And so, everybody's saying, oh, this is it, Father Time, LeBron finally looking old. And I would caution a lot of y'all, I don't think we've ever seen a player in a span of 2 weeks go from looking like a top 5 player in the NBA, which he was looking like 2 weeks ago today, when he was shooting 44% from 3 and putting up a triple-double for 4 straight nights and looking like he was just in full control of that offense with AD playing how he was. So I don't think we've ever seen a player in 2 week span, or I guess it wouldn't even be that because we're talking about a week and a half and 2 weeks. So in a span of half a week, a week maybe, go from, oh yeah, he's top 5, top 10 player, worst to, yep, nope, looks old, washed, father time. I would say it's probably more of the 5 games and 7 nights kind of thing that we've been seeing, where it's just, look, he's older. I'll be the first to admit LeBron is not the LeBron from 8 years ago where he's going to play 42 minutes, 82, 80, 79 games, whatever it is, and dominate the game on both ends. Like he's not that player anymore. Like obviously that's where we have seen the age catch up with him. But and y'all can mark this. I promise you, if not, because they do play tonight, if not tonight against I think they play the Heat. If not tonight, their game in 2 days. I think he has a game where it's like, oh, there he is, 40% from three, shooting 60% from the floor, and gives us 28 point, 25 point, 28 point triple double or double double with 25, 27, 8 and 8 or something like that, where it's like, oh, yep, there it is. And then I also wouldn't be shocked, and I hope he does. I hope they start giving him some games, as far as like giving him some rest games. Because look, no matter what we think of the Lakers as far as contenders, they clearly think they're contenders. And if you want to be a contender, you can't have Bron playing. I know he said, I want to play 82, and I'm sure he does want to play 82 because, look, you don't play until you're 40 if you don't love playing basketball. I'm sure he would love to play 82, but I also don't think that's the best thing for the Lakers. So I would say I would hope he starts just a game here or there. I'd love him at that 70 mark, 70 games this year. But I would almost guarantee we probably see a bounce back game from either tonight or in 2 days when they play. And then lastly, man, we're going to finish up with the NBA Cup. We got the whole thing as far as the playoff bracket set. And so just going to give you my predictions, man. So East, we got Bucks, Magic, Knicks, Hawks. I think we go Bucks, Magic. I think the Magic win that one. Knicks, Hawks. I think the Knicks win that. So sets us up with Knicks, Magic. I think the Knicks take it. We see them in the NBA Cup championship. West Coast, man. Look, I'm excited for this one. I got tickets to the West Coast final. It's not the final game, but like the semifinals. Yeah, semifinals. But Thunder, Mavs, Rockets, Warriors. So selfishly, I would love if the Mavericks and the Warriors won, so I could go see the game I got seats to. I could go see Luka versus Steph. I think it's more likely we get my prediction is that we get Thunder Rockets. And look, nothing against I'm still gonna have a great time, man. Like y'all know, I said the Rockets are my surprise team. I'd love to go out and see Jalen Green. He's one of my guys where I think he's a most improved player candidate. I think he might win that. And then the Thunder with Shea and all them, man, they're always great. So I think it sets us up for Thunder Rockets. I think the Thunder win that one. I think we get Knicks Thunder, and I think the Thunder take it. That's going to be our second ever in-season tournament champs, man. I think the Thunder is just between them and Boston. I think they're clearly the top 2 teams in the league. And Thunder not even fully healthy right now. But look, Knicks have been playing great. I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with as we get deeper in the league, deeper into the season. But yeah, I think Thunder probably take this one. And so, hey, appreciate y'all. That's it for today. Remember, please like, subscribe, comment on our social media. We're on TikTok, Instagram. You can catch the whole podcast on Spotify. You can see us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts. And just appreciate y'all's support. And we'll see y'all here in a couple of days.